Hi, I am Dr. Prasad Wagle. I am a senior hepatobiliary and gastrointestinal surgeon at Leelavati Hospital and Kambalai Hospital, Bombay. I bring you greetings on this World Liver Day on behalf of myself and my team EduSurge. So, what is the need for having a World Organ Day? In particularly the liver. The whole idea being that one needs to increase the awareness of one's own organs, leading to a good and a healthy life. So, in this brief talk of mine, I'm going to focus on what is the basic action of the liver in our body, what does it do, what are the problems if the liver is unhealthy, what are the problems of cirrhosis, why does it occur, and finally, briefly about liver cancer, which incidentally is my specialty. What does the liver do? What is the importance of the liver in our body? The liver is the largest gland in our body and it's a metabolic factory. Everything that we eat or drink is to a certain extent taken care by the liver. It involves the digestive process. It secretes bile so that the fats in the body are metabolized and digested. It is a great storage organ. It stores the glucose, the excess glucose from your body. It stores the fats to a certain extent. And obviously, if there is something that goes wrong with the liver, the entire body would become topsy and turvy. Everything that we eat, whether healthy or unhealthy, has an impact on the liver. Anything that's unhealthy, obviously in the long run will cause some damage to the liver. So the few common liver ailments that we see in day-to-day practice are what we call as the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, alcoholic steatohepatitis, viral hepatitis, and in the long run, all these conditions lead to what we term as cirrhosis of the liver. One of the biggest complications of cirrhosis in the long term is liver cell failure and liver cancer. So what do we mean by cirrhosis? Cirrhosis basically is an irreversible damage that occurs to the liver over a period of time because of the factors mentioned earlier. And it's a slow downward path. In the early parts of cirrhosis, it is still possible, in the early stages it's still possible to stem the rot and control the cirrhosis. But having crossed a certain limit, the liver cannot now regenerate in a healthy way and lead to a normal functioning. So what are the common causes of liver cirrhosis? In our country, alcohol, hepatitis, that's hepatitis B and hepatitis C. If you look at the demographics, hepatitis B is now on the decline, but unfortunately hepatitis C is on the upswing in India. Of course, you can have genetic reasons why cirrhosis can occur, and anything that is toxic in our diet can also lead to cirrhosis. Sometimes it's a combination of everything: unhealthy diet, alcohol, genetic factors that lead to cirrhosis. So it can be multifactorial at times. What are the complications of cirrhosis? Over a period of time, as the liver starts getting deranged, as cirrhosis progresses, there is cell death of the liver. It leads to liver cell failure. The commonest feature of liver cell failure is jaundice, as well as accumulation of fluid in the tummy, what we call as ascites. One of the most dreaded complications of liver cirrhosis is liver cancer. So let's have some insights into liver cancer. What are the types of liver cancers? What are the causes? What are the various symptoms? What are the tests available and the treatment options? So liver cancers can be divided into the primary liver cancers, what we term as hepatocellular cancers, or they may originate in the bile ducts within the liver, what we term as cholangiocarcinomas, or they could be secondary liver cancers, what we term as metastasis. So the cancer is elsewhere in the body, anywhere in the gastrointestinal tract, and now it has metastasized in the liver. The focus of this talk is going to be primarily on hepatocellular cancers. So what are the various causes? Cirrhosis is the most important cause. Whatever the etiology of cirrhosis, whether it's stemming from hepatitis or alcohol or a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the end result is cirrhosis. And cirrhosis is a field defect. It has occurred all throughout the liver and is a hotbed for formation of liver cancers. Often we are asked, what are the symptoms that one should look out for in liver cancers? Can I know I have liver cancer? The answer is both yes and no. In the very early stages of liver cancers, it's impossible to have, or most people do not have any symptoms. So it's those group of patients who are cirrhotics who are on screening, get incidentally detected with liver cancers on a screening protocol. Yes, we do sometimes see primary liver cancers without a background of cirrhosis, which is roughly in around 10 to 15% of our population. So as the cancer advances, then one starts having symptoms of progressive disease, weight loss, loss of muscle mass, increase in the water fluid in the tummy, what we call as ascites. The ascites starts worsening, the jaundice starts deepening or starts coming up in these patients. So the problem is we do not want to lose the opportunity of having missed out on early cancers. So once we have seen that these patients have cancers, there are certain other tests that we do to stage them. So when I say staging, it means whether I can achieve some cure for these patients or I only need to palliate these patients. So some of the imaging modalities like a CT scan is going to tell us whether the cancer is only in a particular part of the liver or has it spread from one part of the liver to another part, from the liver, outside the liver, particularly the lungs as well as the bones. For cancers that are restricted to only one part of the liver, it's much more amenable for treatment than cancers that have spread. MRI is also a wonderful modality in staging cancers. In fact, there are patients that we have missed on CT, but the MRs have picked up. So MRI is a very important and a great modality in staging liver cancer patients. Often we are asked, doctor, what about PET scan? Do we also do PET scan for liver cancers? One can, but it does not fall in the standard algorithm for management of liver cancers. So having staged liver cancers, we now decide what are the treatment modalities available for these patients and what is the best option available. So the treatment modalities vary from surgery, which includes resectional surgery, that is we remove the entire tumor along with a part of the liver, to what we term as ablative or radioablative procedures by either microwave or radiofrequency ablation, to liver transplantation. So that's the surgical part. You have the non-surgical part, which is radiological procedures, and you finally have either medical form of treatment or best supportive care. For tumors that are now amenable for cure, the only curative procedures are a surgical resection and liver transplantation. So in early cirrhosis, if what we term as the Child-Turcotte score, if we deem that these patients have very early cirrhosis and the tumor is amenable for removal, we remove them surgically, either by open surgical or a laparoscopic technique, along with a part of the liver. If the liver cirrhosis is advanced and the tumor is meeting certain criteria, what we term as the Milan's criteria, which is the standard criteria all over the world, then liver transplantation is offered to these patients. But again, as I said, primarily in those cirrhotics whom we cannot offer a surgical resection. If the liver tumor is extremely large, but still is there only in the liver, we may at times downstage these tumors by doing certain other procedures by what we call as TACE or a tear along with a portal vein embolization, so that the rest of the liver that's going to be remaining behind increases in size and does not undergo failure after removal of the tumor as well as a part of it, a part of the liver. The non-surgical treatment for these patients, if we deem that no, I cannot offer surgery because your tumor is pretty advanced, or you do not fit the criteria, or you are not fit. So we have to work up these patients from the cardiac point of view, from the pulmonary function and the renal functions to deem whether they are good candidates for any kind of surgical procedure. If they are not, then the interventional radiologist takes over to do certain procedures which I mentioned earlier, like a TACE or a TARE, which is basically introduction of certain substances through the hepatic or the liver arteries which bust or kill the tumor cells. If we cannot even offer these therapies, and if the disease is extremely advanced, the other treatment of choice is what we call as oral chemotherapeutic agents like sorafenib and lenvatinib, as also the newer available modalities like immunotherapy, but which unfortunately are pretty expensive at this point. Any patient who is extremely advanced, we offer them best supportive care, that is purely symptomatic treatment. We only control the problems that they have. We also treat the hepatitis, if at all that is the cause for liver cancers. So that also forms a part of the management strategy. So the last part of my talk is whether we can prevent deterioration of the livers. Can we have a healthy liver? Is there any lifestyle modifications that we can do to have a good liver? Yes. A healthy diet that comprises of plenty of vegetables, salads, white meat, good amount of exercise, at least on alternate days, a 40 or 45-minute walk is going to keep your liver healthy. People who have diabetes or metabolic syndromes, hyperlipidemias, need to take care and get treated for the diabetes and the abnormal lipid profiles. If the diabetes and the lipid profiles are under control, your liver is going to stay relatively healthy. Any patients who are diagnosed with hepatitis B or C will need to take treatment for that from their respective gastroenterologists. There are wonderful treatments available to cure hepatitis B and C and prevent progression to cirrhosis and thereby prevent the risk for liver cancers. Finally, we also screen all cirrhotic patients on a regular basis with liver function tests, endoscopy, sonography, and of course tumor markers like alpha fetoprotein, so that if and when they develop liver cancers, we can at least catch them early and treat them with the hope that we can cure these patients. So my friends, on this World Liver Day, I wish you a very healthy liver to live well. Take care of yourself, particularly in this COVID times. Stay healthy, stay safe. All the best to you.